So just before we get into that very interesting world of smartphone photography and filmmaking, let's talk about relationships. Relationships are important, whether in your home, particularly in your home, work, office, business. And it is said that breakdown in relationships is responsible for some of the biggest challenges we have in the world today. And I can tell you at least 5 wars currently ongoing, either explicit or implicit. So on the show this morning, we're talking about how to manage your relationships in a very fast-paced world, right? We're joined again by Michael Iwoma, who is a relationship expert, joins us virtually on the show this morning. Michael, you're welcome to the Morning Brief.
Yeah, Miracle is the name, actually, and it's good to be here.
Forgive me. I was going to say that's a miracle. Your name just changed, but yeah, forgive me, Miracle. So let's talk about relationships. We know how relationships are important to all of us, and I think it goes without saying. But the challenge is always just ensuring that we handle relationships very well. So you're not giving too much in that sense. You're not taking too much. You maintain a balance. And most importantly, get the most from relationships. And I remember the last conversation we had, we asked for some of the major pitfalls that you've noticed in relationships. Well, it's 2025. So let's set the tone. How can we maintain a profitable, productive relationship this year?
All right. Thank you very much for that question. Yes, so I think that first of all, we need to set our priorities right, because a lot of the times people say that relationship is the most important aspect of their lives, and it really should be, except that their actions say otherwise, right? Because research has proven that about 85 of our happiness dependent on our relationships, the people in our lives, and usually on the deathbed of people, one of their highest regrets or most regrets is around the relationships they could have given more to or they allowed into their lives. So I think that it's important for us to set our priorities right. If truly relationship is important to us, then we should give the necessary energy, the necessary vibe, the necessary time, the necessary resources that it needs for it to thrive in our life. So I think that's where it starts from, to set our priorities right, and then, give the necessary energy that is needed to make that relationship thrive, right? Even though, like you said, we understand the other aspects of our life that, of course, wouldn't have to suffer because of our relationships, but that balance, even though balance is also relative, because sometimes you would have to sacrifice an aspect of your life in order to give more to another aspect of your life. But that is going to happen phase by phase, and it's just important to be saying what time you need to give more to a particular aspect of your life than the other.
So 2 things I wanted to tackle this morning. First, how do you, because I mean, as we said earlier on, a lot of things are fighting for attention. It's a very fast-paced world. So you may not have the luxury of frequency, chatting with someone. And there was a time people used to say 5 hours on the phone overnight, just because you want to talk. I don't think anybody can afford that luxury of time now. So how do you ensure that, in spite of that, you're able to give quality time, quality conversations? You may not have the quantity of time that you want, but the little time you have, you give it the very best quality. How do you achieve that? What are the things that you have to be now maybe more conscious about?
Yes, so and you're right, because you don't have the luxury of giving a quantity of time, but you can give quality time, right? And what's the difference between quantity and quality? Quantity is the amount of time you're spending with someone. Quality is the amount of energy, the amount of attention you are putting into that time, no matter how short or long it is. And it is going to take intentionality to do that. You have to be intentional about how you are spending that quality time with that person, right? For instance, you have to intentionally say, I'm going to spend 1 hour or 2 hours of non-distraction with my partner. I'm going to spend, between 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. with them. where I would drop my devices, where I would drop every form of distraction and just talk to them, play with them, and be present with them. That is more qualitative than being with that person for 6 hours while you are distracted with your phone and what have you. So I think that it's about the intentionality that you are putting, about the time you are spending with them, that really matter. And they need to see that you are being intentional, you are being present, because it is possible to be with someone and not be present with them, right? Because someone can be face to face with you, but be spending more quality time with somebody over the phone than they are spending with you, right? Yeah. Somebody can be with you in the room and not smile with you, but then they're laughing over a chat that they're having with somebody else on WhatsApp. So it's about being intentional and being present in that very moment.
There you go. So the last point as we wind down, managing conflicts. So some will say managing might not be the right thing. Resolving conflicts altogether is the most important thing, right? You don't just want to be papering over cracks and say, let's just manage this fragile relationship. Let's resolve it. It's 2025, as I said. Some people carried over conflicts from 2024 and the previous years into 2025, but we can do better this year. So how do we manage conflicts in a minute?
Oh, a minute is really too small.
I put you on the spot there, trick you.
Right, but this is what I would say. I think everybody needs to develop a conflict resolution system that suits their relationship. To say this is how we are going to resolve conflicts in our relationship, right? And I'll give you an example. So someone can say, you know what? No matter what happens in this relationship, it's not going to take beyond 48 hours or beyond 24 hours before we resolve this conflict. Somebody else can say, you know what, we are going to have an open day. An open day is something I recommend to couples and partners, right? Where a day is taken out of maybe a week or a month, or anyhow you want to do it, where you have conversations around certain areas, difficult conversations, but the rule of the game is that nobody's permitted to get angry. And if it is significant to one person, then the other person must make the necessary adjustments. That day, you just air and pour out your mind to the other person. And thirdly, and I know this is something that might sound controversial, but you need a healthy third party. Yes, keyword there is healthy, in the sense that you need someone who you can defer to, either as a coach or mentor or what have you, who would help you resolve conflicts that you cannot seem to resolve yourselves. That's where I will leave it for now, since you said 1 minute.
Okay, I mean, you did justice to that. The other part of how do you resolve a conflict with people who don't seem to want the conflict resolved, people who are not in this local palace, and they put their face down, So maybe that you could take another 30 seconds, because that's another part of this conversation I want you to speak to. How do you do that then? Or do you just leave that conflict and let it be?
Yeah, the unique thing about relationship is that it takes two to be in a relationship. You cannot be in a relationship by and with yourself. So one way or another, you need a willing partner, a willing person to be able to resolve a conflict. And what I usually like to say is there is no conflict. The concept of even considerable difference only applies in a relationship where one person is unwilling to resolve whatever conflict that they have. If you have two willing partners, there is nothing that cannot be resolved.
There you go. Miracle Ihoma, relationship coach, clergyman, life coach. Thank you so much for your time. There is no quarrel that cannot be resolved. I like that. But we appreciate your time. Hopefully 2025 will be the year of resolving conflicts.